Hey there, today is Wednesday, May the 25th, and we're reading today in 2 Samuel 18 through 20, Psalm 34, and Romans chapter 2. As we're going through the Old Testament here, looking at things, we're right in the moment when David's son Absalom has tried to lead this rebellion, tried to take his nation, his kingdom away, his throne away from him. And there's been this battle now, and the result of the battle is that Absalom is dead. We kind of saw it coming a little bit. I mean, whenever there's this coup that happens, it comes to a head somehow, an imprisonment or a death on a battlefield or something, and we kind of saw it coming. David, I think, saw it coming, but David doesn't like it. In fact, if we get to the end of 2 Samuel chapter 18, it says that David, the king, was shaken. He went up to the room over the gateway and he wept. And as he went, he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." And you can hear in those words just the grief, the anguish, and the brokenness of David's heart as he is mourning the loss of his son. Even though Absalom was, if we can put it into colloquial terms, Absalom was a complete butt. He tried to take everything away. But even though that happened, David still loved Absalom. And even though things had to come to a head, David still grieves the loss of Absalom. So what's that mean for you today? What's that mean for you? Going to work, going home, going to school, what's that mean? Going out in your yard, seeing your neighbors? How do you do anything with that? Well, here's what I think. We are surrounded by people that, for lack of a better term, can be complete butts. They can be horrible. They can be mean. They can say hateful things. They can do hurtful things. They can make your life miserable. You have a neighbor like this. You have a teacher or a student or a boss or an employee or a coworker. You know people like this. And even though they can be, as we said, complete butts, you are called to love that person. And Jesus, remember, he says to love God with all our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength, and then to love our neighbor as ourselves. You are called to love that person just like yourself, to care for them, to have empathy for them. I know people can be frustrating. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I never get mad at anybody. It happens. But we are called to love through our frustration, to love through our irritation, to love people as ourselves. That's what we're called to do. But not just to love them and to serve them. We are called to grieve and to mourn the lives, the days, the years, the futures lost when people choose death and sin over Jesus. You are surrounded by people that irritate you, and Satan wants you to be more focused on the irritation they cause you than you are on the death that they are experiencing. But God wants you to see and to mourn and to grieve for what is lost when Satan comes to steal and to kill and destroy. Not just you, but that person that's being a complete butt to you. They're losing and they're dying and they don't know it. Of course they're being hateful. Of course they're acting in a hurtful way, because that's all people know if they don't know Jesus. Here's what you do with it. Instead of being angry, vengeful, bitter, irritated, complaining all the time, you choose, like David, to have a heart after God's own heart, to love people no matter what. You choose, like David, to grieve that your neighbor who doesn't even know it is losing his or losing her life and going to hell, separated from God forever. You mourn for them, and in your grief you make it your point to love and to share the good news of Jesus, to rescue them, like it says in Jude verse 23, to snatch people from the fires if you can, to rescue them. That's what you do. You get to choose to have a heart like David, a heart after God's own heart, Or you get to choose to have a heart like Absalom. A heart after the enemy's heart, after Satan's heart. Selfish, angry, bitter, vindictive. You get to choose what kind of heart you're going to have. Today, I challenge you. See people as God's creation. Mourn the loss of their days, months, and years, and you make it your mission to love them into the kingdom of heaven by the ways you live, by the works you do, and by the words you speak to them. You got a mission. And until I see you again, you are sent.